So I cannot change the orientation. Hi all, welcome to the live show. Let me try that. No. Strange, eh? I think if I flip it like this, it should be. Rotation is locked. Why is orientation locked? See. Um, can you let me know in the chat, guys? If I flip the camera like this, is it working still? I can't do that for some reason. It's a pity, yeah? I want to flip it. Do I have to restart the live show then somehow? Or? It says orientation is locked. I think that's just wrong. Okay, I'll just leave it like this. So, hi guys, welcome. Happy New Year. We are the 1st of January 2026, and that's the year 2026. If I'm not mistaken, that's the year. That means that it's 2026 years ago that Jesus was born. And at a later time, humans or certain society that the Christian society decided to use the birth of Jesus as a milestone for the calendar and to start counting the years from the births of Jesus. So it actually has a very big, it's a very big thing in our lives, if even the calendar is based on it. I have gone through periods in my life. I was raised as a Christian, Catholic Christian, so I did commune and lots of church going as a child in a boarding school. But I got repulsed by it because I saw a lot of hypocrisy, and I learned in school that Christian or the Pope or the religious class killed scientists because they claimed that the Earth was round, and so they held back progress. And so I I was quite raised in a secular society, Western Europe. People don't go to church anymore. My parents don't go to church, and they don't believe in God or in Jesus, and neither do I. I don't believe in a God. Personally, I don't believe that there is a good God presence in the sky that is manipulating how things work on Earth. I don't believe that, but what I do. Belief is that religion has actually had a net overall positive impact on society and not negative. That's really a big change for me. And that especially happened for me during COVID when I saw that when there is no religion for people and they just follow the government, it can very quickly lead, if they take the government as their sole source of guidance for truth and how to live your life, then it very quickly can collapse society when you have some evil ruler who is suicidal. And that's like people need more than just that as guides stones, because what you notice during COVID, for example, is that the government says, "Oh, you should not come together anymore in as a group. You should actually not visit your elderly parents, even if they are dying. You should not send your children to school. You should not walk in the streets." Like crazy shit. Like, and who follows those things that are suicidal for the health of oneself and of one's family? Who follows those rules? It's those that have nothing else that leads them. And what you saw is that those that have religious beliefs were the first to say no to that and were the first religious as well as, of course, libertarian, but that's a very small group. Huh? Most people, if you look at the quantities, it's those with the religious beliefs and those with guns, those with that have self-defense and can say to a police officer, "Leave me alone," and are carrying a gun also. And then that was especially in the Midwest in the United States that actually did not follow those rules because they have strong religious beliefs and guns, and were the most resistant in surviving such apocalyptic event. Of course, it was stopped luckily, but it could have continued also. Evil forces were not able to push this through, but in the future they may. And who will survive? Like it went as far as people taking vaccinations, 3 vaccinations, 5 vaccinations, and people dropping that through the floor and like so so yeah, I think most people do need religion, and I need to believe in a God or in Jesus or other religions, for them to have to know what's good versus evil and to take the right decisions, even when others tell them not to do so. Even if leaders or public opinion is going the wrong direction, religion often helps them to stay on the right path and take the correct life decisions. During COVID, it was about still being there for your family, still going outside, breathing fresh air, still um, going to important things like school. For most people, that's important, or um, so traveling, and of course supporting your elderly people, especially when they're in the hospital, or sick. So, but today you also see it about birthing. Like you see that there is a lot of negative propaganda and a lot of negative public pressure about not having children. It's really bad, actually. My women, for example, as when they start living in Europe, they have to go to classes to learn Dutch. And so the first thing they ask in class, you have family, you have children. When they hear, and that's not just in the class, it's also with my own family or with friends, when they hear, oh, you're only 24 or 25 or 26 and you have already 2 children or 3 children, and are you going to school? No. Oh, and you don't work, you don't have a career. Hey, but like, why are you doing that? You're too young. You should school yourself, or you should have a career, a backup plan in case, huh? um, in case you're separating from Mark, or from your husband or from your man. You should basically immediately stop making children. That's the message they get, and it goes even further. When a child is birthed in Belgium, when they birth a child in Belgium in the hospital, the doctors, who are typically gynecologists, female gynecologists, will actually, behind my back, promote to them to start taking anticonception, and even go further than that, cut. They promote cutting the egg channel so that they can never have children again. And this is happening in Christian hospitals who supposed to carry the values of promoting families, and the birthing of children. It's their business of birthing children. And still, these female gynecologists and female doctors are promoting and are very much against having many children. So, who is still willing to make children? Usually, it's religious groups, who do not buy into all that nonsense that having children is bad for the world or for nature or for yourself, that you don't have enough free time then and you need to enjoy life. And there are higher values than having children, such as having a career, making money, being financially independent. All bullshit that does not actually create happiness for most women. And um, and who does not buy into that is people that have usually a strong religious conviction and are reading the Bible, which has a lot of nonsense in it, but has less nonsense in it than that nonsense, because at least they promote still having many children. The woman be submissive to the man. Um, Focusing on your family instead of career, and all these values. The separation and the division of labor between man and woman. So it's very important values that they go away, and it causes a collapse of a literal collapse of society, a true collapse of society in birth rates. And I think that's I talk often about this because I found it just unbelievable. I can't believe I went to a family reunion. I didn't do that for a long time, but I went back to a family reunion. There was an aunt screaming at me, saying, "Why are you making so many children? What are you doing? What's gonna happen if you die? Who's gonna take care of those children?" They believe having children is bad. And I was talking with my nanny, who's from Kenya, and she has now her fourth pregnancy, and she's living in the slums. She has no man. Typically, in poor Africa, men are not providers. They will provide seeds, but not money. They're happy to provide their seed, but the money will not follow. But it's like that. You can't find most African women from poor regions can't find a quality man. I mean, a quality provider. They have qualities in other areas. They dance very good. They know how to make fun, but being hardworking and making sure that the bills are paid and that money comes in. The rate of men that do that is a lot lower in Africa than in Europe or America. So she has no other choice. And if she wants children, she needs to pick one that she knows in advance will not provide. She lives in the slums, and she still has now her fourth child, probably her last one. But and the way I was telling her that actually the value of a woman that creates children is higher than the value of a woman that does not create children. She didn't understand. She said, "What do you mean? Like, many of these women, they go to school, they are educated, they have careers, they make money, they can find a job that makes money, like real money, such as in a job in a restaurant or in an office, or whereas she can't really find that. Having being a mother of multiple children, living in the slums, she can't even find a job that pays a normal salary, probably." They survive by having small shops or doing cleaning jobs or so. And I'm telling her, "Well, these career women don't make children." Yeah, but she says back, I'm always told that that's not good what I'm doing, having children without a father, and with little money, and what I should do is go educate myself, go to schooling, or so that I can find a proper job. And what I'm told is that these are better women than I am. And I'm telling her, I know, that's how society talks to women. It's the same to my own women also. In Europe, they do that too. But it's not true. It's a lie. You are more valuable and create much more value than these career women or women that are are studying till they're 25 and then have maybe one child in their life and waste a lot of time on some job where they create little value. and they make little money. They are never able to provide themselves for a man and children. They refuse to even provide for a family. They rather stay single than having to provide for a man. They are not providers, they're survivors, and they make a few children. And they are of less value to society than you are, who is at least creating children. And but she didn't understand. So I told her that she didn't understand that one was more worth and more valuable than the other. So I told her, okay, let's turn it around and let's look at man. You have one man who's working hard and who's making lots of money and providing for his family. You have another man who's sitting on his ass, not working at all, is not providing. Which man is more valuable? Are they the same value, equal value, or one is more worth than the other? She says immediately, that man that makes money is more valuable than the other. The other is useless, is of less value. She understands immediately. I'm telling, it's the same with women. Women have a job in society. Their job is to create children. Only women can do that. A woman that makes lots of children is of great value. A woman that makes no children is of a lot less value. She can, in other areas, maybe create a lot less value. There are some exceptional women who are amazing investors or amazing scientists or amazing inspirators or amazing athletes. These are the exceptions. They do provide value and they make a lot of money probably too. But these are exceptions. Most women do not have that. They have only few children and they are not amazing in any talents. They are just average at best in whatever job they do in a restaurant or in an office. And they provide less value than a woman that has many children and has no job in an office or in a restaurant. They have less value because they have a much easier life. A woman who goes to study in university, does she have a tough life? Or she has some office job, a restaurant job? You think she has a tough life, a 9 to 5 job, compared to a woman who's birthing children and raising children? No, she immediately understood that also. She rather have an easy office job than raising children. Children, birthing children, there is no pause in that. They will wake you up in the middle of the night. They have problems always, crying, screaming. I mean, you can't do it alone. You need much support to do it. That's the tough job. And the women that choose to not have children know it. Because when you ask them why you don't want children, they'll come up with all kind of excuses, saying there's not enough money, I can't afford to have children, I can't find a good man. But the real reason often is they don't want to do the hard labor. They don't want to work hard. They want the easy life of chilling, enjoying life, traveling, going on holidays, watching Netflix, posting pictures on Instagram, having boyfriends, no obligations, no sacrifices. Don't have to make any sacrifices. No sweating, except in the gym a bit to keep the body a little bit beautiful, to have some extra, keep some attraction from man. They are lazy. That's the truth. They don't. It's not about money. Often, you can make children with no money. It's about work. They don't want to work hard. And it's the same as men that are lazy and don't want to work and provide. They are not of the same value as men that work hard. They deserve less. And it's the same with women that don't make children. They deserve less respect, less appreciation, less applause than the women that make children. And that's where we need to go back to, because that's where we were before. Now it's like, oh, you don't want children? Oh, you want a career? Applause. Oh, you have a good degree? Applause. Oh, you can find a good job? Applause. Oh, you make lots of children? Are you sure you want that? Why are you doing that? That's going to be a lot of work. No applause. That's wrong. So that was my rant for 2026, the new year. It's great to see that someone like Elon Musk, a world leader in business and politics these days, also understands that very well and often shares information about that because it's really a problem. Hi, Rifter Box. Happy New Year, he says, Mark. I'm following you for years and finally catching you live. I'm interested in your Mars baby approach and how you handle multiple women. Do you live all together like Mormons? Um, um, it's not. Yeah, so I shared a little bit in a previous live show that was cut off. Sorry about that. Already after half an hour. There are some posts below it also explaining a little bit. But in summary, we don't live all together in one house. Women typically prefer to have their own house, and it's a much easier sell. Huh? So I've approached it that way that I tell them, look, it's a polyamorous relationship. We're not getting married, but I have multiple women. I can have multiple women. You cannot have multiple men. And uh, but you get your own place, your own house, huh? And I flip between the houses. And for the African women I've met, half of them, it's fine. They're okay with that. They don't. Uh, but if I would say we're all living together in one house, that would be a more difficult sell. But it's possible too. But I can afford for each woman to have her own house. But I do insist on group time. But they try to avoid that also. But I insist on that. So we do trips together. So I have my own house also, and they come there together sometimes. And when I'm not around and they live close to each other, I want them to help each other and spend time with each other. And so yeah, it is a group. It is a family, but they do have each their own place. Ma's baby approach is indeed, I push them to have babies. What I notice is that all my women don't want many children. When I meet them, I ask them how many children they want. 3 or 4, they say. But to actually get to 3 or 4 takes 10 years of me pushing. And more than physical pushing, promoting with the mouth and pushing with the mouth. Because they also rather have the easy life, of course. Huh? And they don't understand these fundamental concepts that actually it's good to have many children. It's good for the world and it's good for us. What else you gonna do? They think about, oh, I want to enjoy life. I want to start a business. Yeah, you can do that when you're 40. When you can't make children anymore, you do that. I'm fine with that. But now when you're 20 and soon a couple of years one will be 30 already, like that's baby making time. Is nothing else making doing time. And then later you can enjoy life and do these things that you see all these women do on Instagram. Like that's just the right order of things. It's a lot of work, and luckily they're African families. There are always some aunties or uncles or mothers or in favor of having many children. That's still a value that's held in Africa by some older people. That it's good to have many children. So I also use them to talk with my woman to explain to them it's good to have many children, because they listen sometimes more to their families than to me. Um, Decentralized Dave, hey, happy New Year, happy 2026. I've been enjoying your posts a lot and working together. He says, happy New Year to you too, Mark. Hard to believe 2026 will be 6 years since I've discovered you. Oh, that's great to hear. 6 years that you're following my work. Also, I'm very happy with your critical thinking. Decentralized Dave was the only person who was bearish in the bubble, in my surroundings, in the bubble of 2021, and who claimed that we saw the peak, but I didn't agree with him. And I do still think his arguments were not as good, but he proved out to be right. And I regretted later, after a year later, after I lost again 90% of my portfolio, not listening to him a little bit better. That would have saved me a lot of money. So since then, I've taken him a lot more serious, Decentralized Dave, and I recommend you follow his work. Um, I saw you went to South Africa recently. Are you giving Africa a new chance? Yes, I'm in Africa currently, and yes, but I keep a much closer eye on corruption levels of countries. Um, I can share in the future more about that, um, um, and on safety. That really went wrong in Kenya, and yeah, the corruption is a real big problem in Africa. And but I'm very happy to be back for the first time in Africa. I'm not in the country of South Africa, obviously, which is a total like they have different kind of reports. But I mean, I wouldn't go to a country like South Africa because yeah, everybody knows what's happening there with the white farmers. It's basically they are not protected, and they are victim of just awful crime and robberies, and yeah, the white population, the biggest white population in Africa is in South Africa, but they are at risk of losing that country. Not only politically they've lost it, but physically. Physically, because yeah, because of total mismanagement of the government, who doesn't value white farmers and prefers to steal their land. And then same as what happens in Europe and America, a lot of socialism and equality nonsense. Um, but it basically comes down to let's steal what they have, and so that we don't have to work, we can continue to sit back, relax, and enjoy life while we steal other people's resources. But in Africa, that's a much easier sell, even because you have lots of stupid people, a lot more stupid people there, even. So that's a real problem. So, but in Africa, you have 50 countries. You do have a lot of variation in how the countries are managed. Some countries are actually managed a lot better than others, have a lot lower corruption levels. But what I love, of course, about Africa is I'm a lot more successful with a woman in Africa than in Europe. When I approach women in Europe, white women, when they hear polygamy or polyamory, they're like, nah, can't do that. Whereas in Africa, if as long as you provide, many are okay with it. Um, you're looking well. Thank you so much, Dave. Andrew Mine. Happy New Year. May God be with you in the year of 2026. May God protect you and your family. And may you continue motivating us. I love your hard work, bro. Very wise to talk about guns, is Dave. They say those with guns make the rules, and it's true. I would love to arm myself, by the way, but in Czech Republic there are tight gun laws. Um, yes, Europeans they love to talk bad about the United States, and but you know the immigration flow is not from the United States to Europe. There are some Europeans and some Americans that do immigrate to Europe, and of course there are some big problems in America, such as high taxes, and of course their empire is doing poorly. But like, I mean, if like there are many things they do a lot better than Europe, and the results are there. The income of an average American is a lot higher. It's double as high as a European, and the gap is just becoming wider. Their wealth also. You actually cannot just say anymore that America and Europe are just our first world. That's not the case. Like America is higher than Europe. When you have double as much wealth per capita, then you're not the same level. Like, it's just not the case anymore. The gap is becoming wider, and it's because of overall Americans are more hardworking than Europeans. They do have less socialism than Europeans. and they do handle immigration better now, um, on average. Uh, they have more freedom on average for speech, and that's becoming very clear now. In Europe, there is not such a traditional freedom of speech. We are coming from kingdoms, old medieval kingdoms that were then changed into democracies. But the like the freedom of speech is not like the idea is still like whoever the boss can shut you down. There is no um, charter that people respect when it comes to the Ten Amendments, or what the United States has there, that you do have to follow some rules, and politicians cannot cross those. Uh, no, and the UK is a stark example of that, how it's collapsing due to a lack of freedom of speech. More people in prison now for Facebook posts than for rapes. Getting longer sentences for Facebook posts than for raping. That's a total, like, that's really a collapse of society. So, yeah, yeah, we're very lucky that the United States exists, the Europeans, because without it, we would not go far, I believe. Um, Hi, let me read some posts here. Mark, why do you want to have so many children? Any buffet plan or just enjoying family life? Is there any master plan about having many children? Yeah, please rewatch the live show. I went on a big rant about why women that create children are of higher value than women that create no children. But of course, it's very clear. Why is it important to have children? Is because of your own legacy and your society's legacy. We will go extinct. Western society, modern life is a failure. Women that don't make children, collapsing population rate, it is a failure. Those societies will be replaced and are being replaced by societies that do make lots of children. In America, you see that very clearly. The Mormon society, there's one of the very few white groups that do make more children than the people that die within the community. They have an expanding population, and they just take over more and more area in in those states where they live. They just take over the region, and it's the same in Western Europe. The the immigrants from Islam origin, they still value higher having children. They have more children and just take off. Literally, they take over cities and also the voting base, and that's now happening in London. And the rules are just changed to Sharia law. That's what's happening. These societies are being lost. And I come from Belgium, it's the same there. Antwerp, more Islam voters than Christian ones, and the same is in Rotterdam, Amsterdam, Paris, all these cities. But I'm sorry, they just are lost to another group of people who take over these living places, and it's just like a total failure of the group that lived there before to preserve their society, and the children pay the price, and it's just an absolute failure. Mm, um, so yeah, that's why. But also, like, I come from a family of three children. I always liked very much having brothers, and you fight a lot, but you love them the most. Like, it's also makes a lot of sense for yourself. Children, they are hard to work, but you love them the most. Even those that give you the biggest headaches. Um, like, you love them more than the wife, or the woman that you met often, and the mother, because yeah, that's just how it is. They are your own blood, literally, and So, and it's a very good strategy to live a happy life because you have no children. It's total misery when you become old. Huh? They're lonely, huh? And they die alone. And I like if you if you ask old people what do you regret the most, if they are a woman, older woman, they have no children, often you will hear, or little children, they hear they wanted more children. You will never hear someone saying, I wish I had made less children. That never happens. Hmm? It's always like, I wish I would have listened more to myself and tried to realize the dreams that I had instead of listening to other people, that I shouldn't do this, I shouldn't do that. Hmm? I should have done it. Hmm? And when it, yeah. So that's another thing that's not related to having children, but um, yeah. Um, any thoughts on Cardano? I don't. I think Charles Hoskinson is a very nice person and a very smart person and built a great project and is hardworking. But I just have not really made the click to invest in it. And yeah, there's so many good projects. You only have to invest in projects that really speak to you. That doesn't mean there are many other projects that are not good. I think it's a good project overall, from what I've seen. So yeah, it could be an opportunity to buy. Actually, altcoins are 80% undervalued, so probably Cardano is also seriously undervalued and a great investment at this point in time. Um, um, they say in Africa that prostitution is only a white man's game, that black men in Africa don't need to pay for it. That's nonsense. Which country? Okay. uh, Decentralized Dave, gold and also silver historically and their bubble move after recessions. Do you believe current move will end only after the recession comes? I agree they are overheated now and need to break. Yeah, so actually, in the previous live show, I talked a little bit about, but I think it was lost. So, yeah, my opinion on gold and silver is still that we're not in a commodity bubble. I believe that gold has gone up mainly because of the US dollar. Diversification away from the US dollar by central banks, especially China, but also other countries have followed their lead and having less US treasuries and more gold. And just that has pushed gold price up the past few years. This has come to a peak in 2022 with the start of the Russian war. Other countries saw that actually Russia was cut off from the banking system, SEPA system. I mean, that's like, I've never seen that in my life. That's the first time that happens. There's a difference between doing economic blockades and cutting off the total banking system. So this really just made things worse, and many countries have started to diversify into physical gold, and also their own using their own currencies for trade also, and cryptocurrencies have benefited from that also, and also used for trade more now. Bitcoin, actually, that's the one use case that I've seen happening, that bigger entities, governments, or big companies have started to use Bitcoin. I heard rumors, I don't know if that's correct, for the trading of oil they've used Bitcoin. um, so, but yeah, in Dubai, you do see like cryptocurrencies are accepted quite widely because there are many Russians that went there. They can't use banking system, so they do have to use cryptocurrency. So I think a true commodity boom, oil should also go up, and it has not. And so I don't. So therefore, I think this is not, it's too risky of an investment, gold, and it caused me to miss also the investment in silver because I don't believe there is a real commodity boom. But yeah, I've been wrong about this for years because gold has continued to go up since 2020, and I've always been bearish about gold and believed it would go lower, even at $1,500, and we're now at $4,000 or so. So yeah, I've been very wrong in this call, but Yeah, do stick to my guns that I don't think this is a commodity boom. I still believe we're in a stock bull market. However, the stocks are really, really, the PE ratio is already historically high. But I believe the way that it will play out is that, um, well, on one way, the it will just broaden out, because the S&P 500 has a very high PE ratio, but not the small caps, micro caps of the United States, not, and also not European stocks or emerging markets. Like many of these markets are still cheap, even though they went up for the first year now in 2025, but they've have been really bad, past 10 years. And so that can like start to happen there now. And so the P ratio of the S&P 500 may start to go sideways or only slowly go up more for a couple more years, while the gains are actually elsewhere now. But that's still a stock bull market. It's just not in S&P 500. So I think that's more the most likely scenario that we will see. So when can gold and silver break? I don't know. I didn't study that. This is a quite unique situation to see gold go up during a secular stock bull market. I don't know in history an example of this, so I've never studied how that goes and how what the patterns are. Happy New Year, says Colin Swahira. Wish you back to 40% compound annual growth rate this year. That won't happen. I did reach that at the peak in 2021, but yeah, I had another 90% drop. So no, that won't happen again. And also, it won't happen because I take a lot of risk now. Also, I'm not willing to like risk so much and have such a high return. Um, but hopefully I will also succeed in having less losses. Like I 3 times that 90 or 80% losses, and that I really want to try to avoid. But it also means that I have less of potential. Half of my portfolio right now is invested in crypto. The other half is much more diversified, different hedge funds, um, value stocks, micro caps. Yeah, so it's casual, so 15%. Like so, I play it more safe. I'm not aiming to have a higher compound annual growth rate. I'm aiming to keep a high 20% plus compound annual growth rate. I hope that will work also into the future. But I hope to achieve that in a much less volatile way. And then I think that's a real improvement. Um, I would also like to hear from you about some of the most trending 2025 topics, like Israel, Elon, and Twitter, Trump's first, what exactly? The first year performance, and also the AI bubble. These are very good questions. I'll keep it brief. Israel, I think, is when I was raised as a kid, always was Israel in the news fighting in Gaza. But and it seemed it was just neutral reporting about that. But now, like, yeah, I think that yeah, Israel is wrong in what it's doing. It's just conquering land with violence and yeah, genociding the population that wants to stay there. And I don't think that's a very wise strategy. I mean, they have money enough. Why don't they buy land? It's so stupid. And it should blow back because that's not what should be supported. Like it's a different situation than what happened in Russia and Ukraine. Like sometimes it is justified to invade a country. Like for example, if your own population or your language compatriots are being genocided, then of course it's justice, and that's what happened in Ukraine. The Russian population was being shelled literally with bombs, like like the Russian population was being suppressed in Ukraine, and so yeah, And it went much further than that. Ukraine was being used as a base to threaten Russia. So of course they had to do something about that, and they had to invade another country to protect the Russian-speaking population and to neutralize the threat of having right next to their border bases being built that are hostile to their country. That's a very different story than Israel, for some religious reasons, believing that's the Holy Land and they need to have that land, and the other ones are unjustly there, and so they can be killed if they don't go away voluntarily. I think that's wrong. So um, that's my opinion on that, and I think that the public opinion is really shifting also. And the problem is Israel and the Jews have such a big impact on, such a big influence on the U.S. politics, huh? And that's also now being addressed for the first time, because that was never spoken of about actually 10 years ago. Huh? That actually the leaders in business and in politics and the leading lobbyists in America are all Jewish, that they actually they hold a hand above each other. They pull each other forward at the expense of the other people, which are white people and Christians. They actually uh, they don't play by they don't play it fair. In business, you see that also. Silicon Valley, like which companies are getting funding? It helps a lot if you're Jewish. That will help a lot. And like they should not be based on race, discrimination. That's not. Um, if you want to build a country that's um, that gives equal chances to people, then you should give them equal chances. That country will bring out the best to the top. But not if you discriminate based on color or race or religious beliefs, then you will discriminate whole groups, and you will bring out to the top people that don't deserve it. And that's a bit what's happening. And it's and the many Jews that are able to get into the higher positions get there thanks to their race, not to their thanks to their intelligence or their achievements. And so you see a real shift, and yeah, I think it's very good for the United States and for the world, because Israel can only pull that off thanks to the support of U.S. government. But I think that's gonna go down over time also. Yeah, Elon and Twitter, that's clear my opinion on that. I'm a big fan of Elon Musk, but I invest little in his companies because I think they are overvalued, but I still am invested in Tesla. But I think, yeah, a mistake I made in the last podcast. I said there was a race for SpaceX, but the valuation was too high. I said it was 350 billion. Actually, actually, if if I could invest in SpaceX at 350 billion, I would do it. But I think it's already close to a trillion, so I would not do that. But actually, it was not for SpaceX. It was for XAI. So, like, you want to invest in his private company, I have to invest in basically. I mean, XAI. What does it have? It has Grok, to my knowledge, which is a very nice AI program. But you have multiple others. It has no business model, and it makes no money. And they are raising at 350 billion. Like no, and also Tesla. Like I think it's overvalued. Elon is an incredible businessman, but yeah, I hope there are better opportunities when it comes to valuation to invest in his companies. But he's doing a lot for the world. A lot. It's not just his businesses. Like it's really the platform X is really changing the world by allowing free speech and not doing that suppression of and that wokeism and the canceling of people for right wing ideas. That was very destructive, and all the others. Yeah, he's really investing his money in bettering the world. He's a true idealist. Trump's first year of performance. Yeah, that's a more difficult topic. I think that Trump has done some good things and some bad things. But overall, it's certainly a much better than having Kamala Harris there. That would be a total disaster. So yeah, but he plays still a lot in the cards of Israel and the Jews. That's his weak point. But that's also how he got into power. So you can't shoot your supporters like that. That's the problem. Like it was because the Jewish power faction in America shifted towards him that he won also. Um, because there was a fake assassination on Trump that really tilted the votes in his favor. And that's typically a deep state project. And how come the deep state is helping him? Ah, because the Israel and the Jews believed that he would be better than another a Democrat's president. So yeah, um, but I would say the worst of Trump is that and the tariffs. But the best of Trump is um, the tariffs are just extra taxes causing trade to go down and can really have a very negative impact actually on economic growth. Um, Raising taxes, it depends on who you raise it, but what impact it has. But if you raise it on trade, that's really one of the worst taxes actually, I believe. Um, so, but I would say the best of Trump is that he he did something about immigration. Illegal immigration is down a lot, and also wokeism that's gone, and that's very very positive, I believe. Um, yeah, it went really into sick levels when you're promoting that a man or woman and you allow a man to be in woman jails and to be in woman toilets and to allow man to be in woman jails raping other women, to allow man to get surgery to become to get breasts on expense of the of the government that are jailed. Like all kind of crazy shit start to happen. Like I was really trying to get a right wing government, and it's the case for the whole Western Europe. Um, um, Crypto ad. Um, he asked me what's the best thing about Switzerland. I think Switzerland is a very beautiful nature country, very organized, beautiful roads, one of the lowest levels of corruption in the world. I think they are very strict, like they are very rule based. They have lots of rules that you need to follow. That can be not fun, but it also keeps a society very organized. Um, and I think I really like that actually many things are usually on the federal level or actually on the canton or provincial level, such as tax policy, immigration policy, education policy. It's all on the lower level, and that means that they compete with each other and they have different rules within the country. And there are some cantons that have high taxes, others have low taxes, and a piece of those taxes goes to the federal government. But the taxes are decided. That's only a smaller piece. The bigger piece is decided on the cantonal level, and some have low tax cantonal levels, other high, and then the same is true for immigration policies. They have different kind of immigration policies. Um, and you're dealing with with smaller institutions that way also that you can talk to more easily. Uh, so yeah, um, but the problem of Switzerland is that they follow Europe too much, and they are losing their society and their benefit, like the great positives they are losing, and they used to be a neutral country during wartime. They are not neutral anymore. Now they're ganging up with others to attack other countries, and that's what they did to Russia, kicking out all Russian citizens from the Swiss banks. Even if you have another passport, if you also have a Russian passport, you got kicked out, account frozen, just based on citizenship. They are contributing to this war also negatively. Privacy is going down the drain. Immigration is going up. Like they are not protecting their country well against immigration flows. Um, and the level of immigration is similar than to Belgium, 5%, or I believe, or 7% are Islam immigrants now. Um, but yeah, they all hook up together and they all sit in the same cities and they take over cities. That's happening also in Switzerland, I believe, but I could be wrong about that. I have to study that more. Um, yeah. Um, Matarodova says, wishing you a great 2026, Mark. Greetings from Slovakia. And say hello to Felista Martinka. Hi, Martinka. I hope you're well too. And also, Happy New Year to you too. Samuel Nixon, could you share more on your Ethereum vision and strategy for 2026? Happy New Year. Yeah, actually, that's my the investment I'm making these days in Ethereum. So I made a post about that, and I'll share some of these things now. Um, why I am bullish on Ethereum. But in summary, you could say that it's the it's the next financial system, or it could be. It can fail also, but it could be the next financial system, meaning that most, just like you have a banking system now, like on which blockchain will people publish, do currency transactions, do on which blockchain will they register real world assets, and keep track of them and the trade of them, on which blockchain, such as land titles, or real estate titles, or intellectual property titles. On which blockchain will people in the future trade stocks or bonds? Because there will be a blockchain. Like all these things are done off chain now, and that's not the future. It will be done on a blockchain that cannot be reversed, that cannot be manipulated, um, uh, and that cannot be censored. Is also of great value. Um, that can be kept in privacy. Of course, it's a public blockchain, but like if you have the right tools, you can also keep things in privacy. Um, yeah, there are many applications for which blockchain can be used, and network effects, yeah, are just there for currencies, for all these things. For stock markets, like the biggest exchange will attract the most new assets, will attract the most buyers and sellers of these assets, and therefore it just is a, yeah, it's a network effect. It's very hard to break, and for a competitor to get a foothold. So I think that Ethereum is in the best positioned place to be that blockchain in the future, where people will want to be and have to be in many cases to do business or to trade or to hold assets. Because BTC just wasted that opportunity by just stagnating immediately and just deciding we're only going to be a currency and you can't do anything else with it. And we're not going to scale this, and transaction fees can be high. That's a real failure. And Ethereum took that chance as the one of the first, did it the right way, and they're still in that position today. There are many people that try, many projects try to compete with Ethereum, Solana, the biggest one, but yeah, they have more transactions per second. That's true, on chain. Did a better job on scaling, on scaling things on chain than Ethereum. But if you have the networkers effect to the advantage of the of user adoption, you can afford to be a little bit slower in improving things, as long as you also improve things in your technology over time, um, sufficient for the adoption that's there naturally to support that and not to push that away. Then even someone who offers a project offers better technology, yeah, and the results are not there. Like meme coins, Solana, there, that's the latest thing, took indeed the lead, but that's the only adoption where it took the lead, and it's not of great value. It's comparable to NFTs. Huh? It's not something that will last. That people create their own coin and make money off that. That's just a fad. Huh? And NFTs, there is some value in there, but it was greatly overvalued. It's not a use case that's very important. So then it doesn't matter that you have a lead in that. So yeah, I don't think, I don't personally see it. And it's about risk also. Like there's always risk you take investing in something. And the risk here is that we have a bear market with crypto or a global stock market collapse. And cryptocurrencies can go down a lot in value, but which ones will go down the most? Huh? It's those that don't have adoption. And yeah, Ethereum together with Monero are one of the few that have actual adoption. You need those coins to do stuff. For example, if I want to pay with crypto in Dubai, I need Ethereum because they accept stable coins many, but it's on the Ethereum blockchain or some other blockchain they also accept. But if you say, look, I can transfer on the Ethereum blockchain a stable coin, then they will accept that. But that's it. You need Ethereum, man. Like, you could also come with BTC, but transaction can be high. But that's it. Like, you cannot, like many, like all these 1,000 projects, they don't accept. Then you just pay fiat. Like, they're not gonna deal with that. Huh? So that's just, yeah, that's the thing. That's how it is. Mark, you look great. Haven't aged since I started watching you. That's not correct. I'm just in an uptick right now. I gained weight compared to years ago and extra wrinkles, sadly. But now I'm in an uptick because I'm hunting for a fourth girl, and that keeps me energized, and I eat a bit less. And also the climate here in Africa, the warm climate helps a lot with my skin. But thank you for the compliments. After living in the UAE, what did you like about the United Arab Emirates and Dubai, and what you don't like? It was interesting. I was there a lot the past year, indeed. Um, the summers are really bad, 40 degrees. You can only leave the taxi quickly to go into a restaurant or something, and you don't want to be out for 5 minutes. It's too long. So yeah, that's true. It's very hot in the summer, but you can actually stay and live there even in the summer because you have so many air-conditioned spaces. You have such a gigantic malls, like just the three biggest malls are very beautiful, and you can do everything inside. You can even go skiing. You can even go on a roller coaster. Like it's crazy, huh? And like I've not seen any other country with such a malls. So that's really, really impressive. Um, and all cars and all restaurants, they all air codes, and so. But I think that the problem with the UAE is you cannot become a citizen, and you're a lower class, as a tourist or as a resident. You're not an Emirati, and you'll never be an Emirati. Emirati are 10% of the population, and they're the men that wear white clothes, and the women black, or fully black. And yeah, like they manage their country very well in that they make sure that They keep their country. They have 90% immigration, and still they have not at risk of losing their country. Why? Because, well, all these residents, they get temporary residence permits, and you can only renew them if you still are investing in the country with your money or with your time, and that you're still doing a job. Otherwise, residence expires. You cannot just stay there. You don't have any rights to become a permanent resident because you were there long enough. No. Mhm. Um, Only if you have a job or you have invested this amount of money in the country, you can stay. Mhm. And the moment that expires, that's not the case anymore. You have to leave. Mhm. You can never become a citizen. And even the few people that they have granted citizenship to, they just started recently with that. They don't get voting rights because nobody can vote there. It's not a democracy. They can't change, therefore, the government. Um, what they do very wisely, the Emirati leadership, is to the benefits of immigration and go to the people. So how does that work? The 10% people, the 10% Emirati, they get free housing. Mhm. They get a free house, literally. And so for an Emirati, when the man, when they become adults and they decide to start a family, then they get a free house. That means free land plus a budget to build a house on it. Um, um, and that budget is around $500,000, and the government will follow. They will give step by step the money to build that big family house. These are a family house that can house multiple wives and basically 20 people can live there. Different brothers. You could have like different married couples living in the same house. They are very big villas. And so, but if you don't start a family as a man, you don't get a house. If you want to stay single and enjoy life, no house for you. Mhm. But you do get one when you're then 40 or something. As a man, you still get one then. Mhm. Even when you didn't start a family. Um, and then they choose where they want a plot of land, where they're gonna build. And I met only one Emirati, a friend of him, and he decided to stay single. So he was already older. He was driving a Tesla. That's how we met. I tried. I drove there for the first time a cyber truck. I rented that there. It was fun. Yeah, but he was explaining he's gonna ask for a house in on some island, and then he's gonna rent it out. He's gonna make money of that to tourists. He didn't want to start a family because his brother sister already have many children. He was not interested in that. He's already an uncle of many children, but he was explaining that if you want a job, you do have to work for it. Like the Emiratis, they don't get free jobs. You will get government jobs, because, but you do have to do a good job, otherwise you're fired. But there was something else I want to tell about them that I found very interesting. Um, yeah, I found it very noticeable that they are much more tolerant towards our culture than we are and I am towards their culture. Like there, I act like I'm not I'm a tourist, but I'm very happy. I can hold the hand of my girlfriend. I can kiss her. Um, I can walk in bathing suit and I can swim in bathing suit on the beach. But these are all things that is not part of their culture. And it's only very recently that they actually changed the laws that to allow that and to not make that punishable anymore. They're changing their society to allow Westerners to live their Western lifestyle, and they are tolerant of that. But the reason is that they benefit. The Emirati benefit from that. If there are more people coming to live in Dubai, and then they actually get free houses. It's coming from somewhere. And so, yeah, that's how you should do it. If you allow immigrants to come to your country, then that should benefit the local population. And they do that very wrong in the United States and in Western Europe. Because they give them rights to permanent residency, to citizenship, they can start voting, and they don't benefit. They can get social programs. You cannot get any social programs in Emirati as a resident. No, that doesn't exist there. You have no rights as a resident. You only have rights as an Emirati to those things. So yeah, they manage their country very well, and we can learn a lot from them. What I loved about Dubai and UAE is how quickly everything is. When you want to, we didn't do grocery shopping there because you do that in an app, and it's at your door in 10 minutes. Whatever you order can be one banana. You'll have it at your door in 10 minutes. And delivery costs are low. It's not that you pay a lot for delivery costs. I think they are almost free. And the minimum orders are very low. That's grocery shopping. Of course, that also counts for everything else. Delivery of food. Yeah, the also taxis, Ubers, like immediately you'll have one. There's no waiting. Yeah, it's very impressive what they've built there. But the big negative, and that's also why I wouldn't want to go live there, is it's a dictatorship. And it has a big disadvantage is that your fate depends on the king. And if you get into the bad graces, you get into trouble, and the king is not on your side. You can lose your life and your freedom there for no justified reason. So, like, I do like very much a country with a rule of law. Like the law is equal to all citizens, and there is. Oy. I hear an animal here. Joy! Babe! Babe! Alles okay? Yeah, I hear an animal. Actually, we're here in a safari, and there are actually wild animals that can come on. Say, Mikey, I could hear an animal. I think I heard a lion or something. Yeah, I heard a growling of a lion. Ik heb een leeuw horen brullen. Je moet niet naar hier komen. Je moet daar blijven. Nee. Nee. Mikey, je moet daar blijven. Yeah, I don't know. I could hear something growling. Yeah, the animals, except elephants, cannot come here, but the other animals can actually come here. Normally, that never happens, that the lions come here, but yeah, you get a bit paranoid. So, yeah, it's a interesting country. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, if you, for example, what happened there also, we were in the cinema, the most beautiful cinemas. We're sitting there, and there is an Emirati family sitting there, and these kids making a lot of noise. Like, they're just like talking as if nobody else is sitting there during the movie, but nobody is saying anything. So after a little while, I went to tell them like, hey, can you, hey, who's talking here? Can you be quiet? Um, and um, no, there was also the grandmother sitting in that group, and she then she intervened and she made sure they were quiet for the rest of the movie. But that was actually a very risky situation for me because if that Emirati family didn't like me and would report me to the police with a false accusation, I was in big trouble, because they would believe that family over me. If they said I and they could make stuff up, and that happens there, and like you have like Emirati guys, they're chasing women in the club, but the women doesn't want him, and they just say to the police that the women stole something from him, and the woman has big trouble. She'll get deported, because they believe Emirati above you, so you're second class citizen. Or if you have a traffic accident with the Emirati, you better be nice because you're not equal to the law. Whatever the Emirati says will be believed over you. Um, and yeah, there are some horrific stories about what happened there. What do they do to their women? Like the princesses of the Dubai king. Um, when they speak up to their father or to their grandfather and they want more freedom, they actually get imprisoned and even killed. So I think that's a bridge too far. I'm all for putting women back in their right place, but like if a woman wants to huh, just live her own life and not have children or wants to say things that I don't agree with, she should have the right to do so without her being at risk of being imprisoned or being killed. And yeah, that these are things that happen there in the highest classes of society. So yeah, and if you look up, you'll find stories of people. Yeah, that especially if you start doing business there, that they can go very wrong. And you have not done anything wrong, but you're accused, falsely accused, and you end up in prison. And yeah, it's not. So I think that's the big negative of Dubai, and yeah, that's the problem. A dictatorship when it's managed well, you can really build, and they manage things, certain things very well, and that's why the economy grows so much. They invested so much of their money that they made with oil into infrastructure in the city. Amazing roads, amazing airport, amazing malls, amazing skyscrapers. These are all investments made by the royal family and their and others that live there, Emiratis, and that's why it became such a beautiful big city. It attracts many people, and of course they've changed a lot of their cultural values to cater to these people that have money, as Western tourists mainly, um, and Western people. But yeah, there are negatives to that too, and yeah. So I prefer to live in a country where there is a rule of law and where um, yeah, I mean, I think democracy is the lesser of two evils. When you look at it, the dictatorship versus democracy. But I think democracy can go too far, dictatorship can go too far. I think, like, yeah, you should give people voting power, but not equal. Like, people have offer different value to society. And to say that all women, yeah, deserve, like, whether you're a woman, a man, rich, old, young, sick, whether you contribute a lot to society or a little, you all get the same vote. That cannot really work. And that's what's going wrong in the democracies in the West. Um, um, like many people that vote don't deserve a vote because they don't contribute to society. Why should they then get a vote? And then other people that contribute a lot to society only get one vote. Like, that's not a good system. That will bring parasitism. If you can vote yourself to richness Many people will do so. They prefer voting themselves to the resources of others than working for resources, of course. Huh? So that's where we are going wrong. But yeah, so I think we should like think a lot more about who gets voting rights and how many voting rights these people get. That will improve democracy a lot. Um, Crypto is going down. That's good because I'm planning to buy more Ethereum. If they keep selling it at these prices, that's what I have planned here. I have buy orders at lower price. I hope they get hit. Um, um, Decentralized Dave says you were talking throughout 2025 about possible real estate investments. Yes. Would you also consider purchasing in Eastern Europe since you are bullish for Eastern Europe for real estate? Yeah, Eastern Europe, many countries are managed very well. Poland stands out, and also the country of Orban. What's is that Hungary? Yeah, um, and Serbia, I think, is managed well, and yeah, it's very clear, like how different the countries that used to be Soviet countries, socialist or communist countries. With the fall of communism, they all learned that that's the wrong way. Like socialism is not the solution. Capitalism is the solution, and freedom of speech, and so that's what they do a lot better in Western Europe now. So yeah, they are the better countries in the European bloc for sure, and so they will grow a lot more. And yes, of course, buying real estate there is a much better move than in the Western Europe, where yeah, economic growth is not as present anymore. Colin says, interesting answers, Mark. Hope you enjoyed the questions as well. Thank you so much, Collins, to indeed ask all these very good questions about UAE and Trump and Musk and AI. I didn't discuss yet as an important topic. So yeah, it's really very impressive, these AI agents, and I believe that it's a revolution similar to the dot-com revolution, where everything went on the web. The invention of the internet really changed society, and AI will change society also, and it's already changing. Like I use AI every day to ask questions instead of using. I used to ask it to Google and have to look through websites, but with AI, it's going much quicker, and I can ask follow-up questions, and yeah, I get more done in a day. And the same is true for my assistants. So yeah, it's impressive. Um, um, So yeah, but yeah, which are good investments that I don't know. I've not studied it well, and but it's certainly an opportunity. There is one, and I will post the link below. Then this video, one video that I found very interesting to watch, where someone was explaining how can you make money from nothing with AI, and he was explaining how he starts. He's approaching businesses like he's creating AI agents for WhatsApp, for example. When the customers contact your business via WhatsApp, this AI agent will automatically respond to inquiries, and and businesses are very interested in that, and so he's able to sell to businesses these AI agents and help them set it up and all that. And I found it very comparable to like 25 years ago, the dot-com era, where you could actually also start, your own business by building websites for companies. Every company wanted their own website, and that's where we are with AI. And so I think it's a big opportunity for if you're young, if you don't have anything going, you have free time, you don't know what to do, you want to make money, but you don't know where. This is the place to be. Learn about how you can set up AI agents for others via WhatsApp and other things, so that you can help businesses get more done using the power of AI. I think that's a real opportunity for young people or people that want to change their life they want to find a way to make money. I think it's very, very fascinating and interesting. So thank you all for joining the live show. And I wish you all an amazing day. Thank you so much for the questions, especially Collins, Wahira. I really appreciate it. And Decentralized Dave, thank you so much for your participation and wishing you all a fantastic new year 2026, where your dreams may come true, you may progress your plans in the right direction, and you may keep your health or even improve your health. And fortune and luck may be on your side, because we all need that, some luck with our in our lives, and that malfortune may not fall upon you.